Welcome. It's nice to have you here. So today I'm going to share with you your superpower to banish all stress and to attain laser focus that will help you to achieve anything that you want in your life. That's the truth. In order to get there, we have to lay the groundwork. So let's do that first. Number one, this in general, I want to share with you what the benefits are of this meeting. I've already told you what we're going to talk about today, and maybe the benefits of that are somewhat self-evident, but more broadly, the benefits I want to talk to you about, because it's really important so that you can understand what you can expect to get by participating in these meetings. I think that's fair to you to let you know what you can, what the benefits are so that you can know whether this is right for you or not. So the title of this meeting series on Monday is Relax into Wholeness. And that really does sum up very succinctly what the overarching benefits are. But a lot of the time that might not be entirely obvious what those benefits are. So I'm going to give you that in a little bit more detail. So when I talk about wholeness, I'm talking about abundance. I'm talking about peace. I'm talking about harmony. I'm talking about clarity. I'm talking about love. I'm talking about all goodness, okay? Healing at all levels. All of this is possible. And in fact, that's the benefit that's coming to you directly when you participate sincerely in these meetings. So let me then tell you about how you can participate sincerely so that you can ensure that you receive those benefits. And then I'll also maybe tell you a little bit about why and how that actually works. So again, it's in the name of the meeting series, which is Relax into Wholeness. So the relax is how you can participate in order to get those benefits. So to relax, as I often point out, is an active process. It's not something passive. You have to be here present. So choose to be here. Choosing to be here is very, very powerful. Our intention is enormously powerful. When we don't set intentions consciously, then we're just kind of drifting through life and we're just experiencing repetitive history, just more of the same. When you set an intention, then you actually change your destiny with that. You have to follow through on that, of course, but there is an enormous power in setting your intention. So choosing to be here, choosing to be present, choosing to engage in active relaxation will help you enormously in order to receive those benefits. Again, what are those benefits? Just to be clear about it, I'm talking about abundance, harmony, peace, health, love, all good things. All of that comes to you when you participate sincerely by relaxing actively. Choose to be here. Choose to relax actively. Now you might want to know how to relax actively. Well, again, that comes as a result of being here. And this is really going to be something that we're going to look at in a lot more detail and depth today, is exactly that process of relaxing deeply, actively, so that you can receive all those benefits, not just now, but all the time. That's the real truth, is you can receive all of those benefits all the time when you know the secret about how to relax actively and deeply. So I'm going to punt on that one for now about how to do that, because I'm going to get to that momentarily. Okay, so talked about what the benefits are, kind of briefly talked about how you can receive those benefits, and I said I'm going to go into more detail on that, on the specifics on how you can achieve that momentarily. Want to make sure I'm covering everything, all the preliminaries before we get into it. I think that kind of covers it. So let's now, in order to be able to get all those benefits, I want to help you, guide you in that process of that active relaxation. So let's do a little bit of an exploration together. I'll guide it. And you can keep your eyes open if you prefer, or you can close your eyes if you're more comfortable with that. Uh, and I just want to invite you to consider some things. So most of the time, if you're like most of us, then you are hypnotized. You're entranced by your habits and your narrative of yourself, and you don't question it too deeply. This is a power that's called Maya. It's probably called by many other names, but it's that power that entrances us and causes us to believe something that's not actually all that true when we look a little bit more closely. So it's very powerful to question that, because it brings us closer to who we really are. So just notice who you habitually think of yourself as being. And you'll probably notice that it's your name, it's your status, it's your problems, it's your achievements, it's your past, it's your relationships, it's your titles, your career, all of these kinds of things, right? This is what you normally think of yourself as being. And when you do that, of course, then you're hypnotizing yourself. So that's the secret, is that this power of Maya, it's your own power. You're using it all the time, hypnotizing yourself. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. And that means that you alone have the ability to wake yourself up. And you can do that right now by noticing that actually there's something that is not what you habitually think of yourself as being, and that something is what's aware right now. That something is what's actually hearing right now. That something is what's present right now. Notice that that something, which is hearing and aware and present, it's invisible. It doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a story. No label can attach to it. No actions can have any effect on it. It always remains independent. So notice also that this, even though it doesn't have a name, we could call it by a name such as consciousness. It's not that name, but it's sometimes helpful just to have a word to refer to it. So again, consciousness, presence, awareness, whatever we want to use to call, to refer to it, it's not the word, it's what the word is pointing to. But that something that it's pointing to is invisible. It's intangible. And yet it's undeniable, because it's that which is the fundamental basis of everything. So sometimes you go to bed and you close your eyes and you go to sleep, and then you dream. And you might remember having dreamed, right? So you can recall that now. And you can notice that when you dream, that in those dreams you are hypnotized, just like you're hypnotized now, into believing that you're some thing, some character, some story, some narrative, some situation, some problems, some achievement, some circumstance. And that continues as long as the dream continues. And then the dream ends, and maybe you wake up, and upon waking up, you realize, oh, it was just a dream. Now, that dream was only consciousness. Hopefully you can agree to that, right? You can see the truth of that. Because when you wake up, what happens to the dream? It disappears. It goes back into consciousness, the consciousness that you are, the dreamer. And you can see that the dreamer and the dream were always one. The dream was never something independent. It was always one with the dreamer. The dreamer is the precondition. The dreamer is the independent reality upon which the dream depends. You can't have a dream without a dreamer. Now, presently, you remain that same dreamer, that dreamer which is intangible, invisible, that dreamer, which I'm using the word consciousness to refer to. Notice that that's true. All of this is happening in your consciousness, in your awareness, in you as the dreamer, the perceiver, the one who is aware. And notice that the real you, this independent you, this awareness, consciousness, dreamer, is invisible, intangible. Notice that the self that you normally identify with, the body, the mind, the narrative, the problems, the successes, the achievements, the relationships, all the rest of it, is also appearing in this consciousness. It's not constant. It comes and goes. There are times even during the waking state when you forget about yourself and then you remember yourself. Now, if you can forget about yourself, can that really be you? And if you can also notice that this character, even if you were to insist that the waking state character remains constant in the waking state, which it doesn't, but even if you were to insist that, you at least would have to admit that it disappears in the dream state. And even if you were to insist it remained in the dream state, which is ludicrous, but even if you did, you'd have to at least admit that it disappears in the deep sleep dreamless state. So it's not constant, it comes and goes. You, as formless awareness, invisible consciousness, intangible presence, you are the only thing that's constant. All of this is coming and going in you. Deep sleep comes and goes in you, dreams come and go in you, the waking state comes and goes in you. All of that is coming and going in you. So you are that which is continuous, constant, eternal. It has to be. It just absolutely has to be. There's no way that you could be that which is coming and going. Not a possibility, because you know that you're always here. You're the one who's aware of all the comings and goings. All the comings and goings register in the awareness that you are. And that means that all of it is none other than the consciousness that you are. All of this is actually invisible, intangible consciousness. Only that, nothing other than that. That's what all of this is. Which means that actually you have complete command and power here. There is nothing here that is independent of you. Now, here's the question. Somewhat rhetorical, but you can answer it for yourself nonetheless. Do you exercise that power consciously and with confidence? And you'd have to answer no, at least conditionally no, right? Because you don't exercise it completely with confidence. You might exercise it in some domains of your life. You might have some areas in which you feel you are competent, hopefully. But there are some domains of your life in which you do not experience confidence. So you're not exercising your power with conscious awareness. You're not exercising your power with confidence and competence. But you can. You can. It's possible. In fact, it's a requirement. It's how you graduate. So here's the thing. A lot of the time, we throw our arms up and we say, well, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what the point is. But actually, I'm going to tell you what the point is. The point is to know who you are and to exercise your powers. The two go together. It's not enough just to theoretically know who you are. Anybody who can read or listen can know the answer. You've already heard the correct answer. The correct answer is that you are consciousness. You already know that answer. That's not enough. You might say, well, I've had an experience of it in meditation, or I've had a spontaneous experience of it. Not enough. You have to tell the truth about it. That's not enough. It's great, it's helpful, it's a very useful pointer, but it's not enough. You have to have that knowledge at all levels. The knowledge has to be fully realized. It's not enough that you've heard it. It's not enough that you've tasted it. You have to know it always, in all ways. And what that means, practically speaking, is that you have to know what your powers are and you have to be able to exercise your powers. Not only do you have to be able to, you must actually exercise them in order to have that confidence and competence. Because until you do so, just notice the truth of this. Until you are able to confidently, competently exercise your powers as consciousness, which has complete domain here over everything, until that point, you will remain fearful. Please reflect on that and see the truth of it. As long as you do not have confident, competent command over your powers, which are complete creative control, until you have that, you will remain fearful. Please see the truth of that. I'm emphasizing it because it's so crucial. Because otherwise what happens is this notion that, oh, I should be able to exercise my powers seems somewhat fanciful or perhaps egotistical. And certainly it can sometimes emanate from that kind of egotistical desire. And it does oftentimes. But that does not mean that always it is egotistical. Very, very, very important. Exercising your God-given powers, your creative powers, complete creative control over your experience, period. No exception. Until you exercise that competently and confidently and completely, you will continue to have doubts about who you are. You will continue to succumb to the false belief that you are something separate, which means you will feel insecure, which means you will be reactive, which means that you will be spooking yourself. It's like, maybe you've had this experience. If not, then you could imagine it, because it does happen to people, where if you're asleep and you're having some kind of dream where you feel like you're being suffocated or something, and then you wake up only to find that you're doing this. You're doing it to yourself, but out of delusion, out of this hypnotic power of Maya, you believe that it's being done to you, right? Very, very important. If you are not completely aware consciously of who you are and your powers and able to exercise those powers completely with confidence and competence, then you will spook yourself, because something will be happening outside of your conscious awareness. You're doing it, but you don't know you're doing it. And so you're going to superstitiously ascribe it to something apart from you, because you can't do otherwise. If something's happening and you cannot explain it, you're almost certain to ascribe it to some independent power that's doing it to you. If you believe that something outside of you is doing something to you, how are you going to feel? I've already answered that. You're going to feel insecure. You're going to feel fearful. Hopefully you can see what I'm pointing out here. That's why it's very spiritually correct to gain complete confidence and competence over your God-given powers, your creative powers, which are complete and total here. You should have, and I'm going to give you a key phrase here, calm command over your own experience. Can you imagine what that would be like? Calm command. Notice I'm not saying hysterical command. I'm not saying iron grip command. I'm not saying any of those things, because those would be the wrong thing. I'm talking about calm command, absolute calm and command. Notice that that's essential, because again, without that, you will continue to be fearful. There's no real way around that. One way or another, you have to come to that complete realization. Now, there are some variety of ways to do that. I don't know all of them. I'm going to give you two general categories. One of them is that we'll call it the renunciate path. You go to the Himalayas. It doesn't have to be the Himalayas. That's just a popular destination. But you go to the Himalayas, find a cave, sit there, don't move. That's it. That's the complete instruction. There's no other part to that. You go to the Himalayas, sit in a cave, sit there, don't move. That's it. That's the complete instruction. Now, are you going to do that? You can go ahead and answer no because you're not, in which case you can know right away that's not for you. Now, if you were, to be honest, that path and the other path, they're kind of the same path, but they look superficially different. Because that path, you know for sure that all that you're experiencing is subjective. Why? Because you're sitting in a cave in the Himalayas. So whatever fantasies are going through your mind, you know that they're only happening in your mind. Hopefully that's clear. But importantly, you will often forget that because that hypnotic power of Maya is still active. Wherever you go, there you are. So if you're in the cave in the Himalayas, your mind is still going to be playing those same tricks on you. That's why it's fundamentally the same path, but it superficially looks different because that path involves going and sitting in a cave. But the other path, which is clearly not the path of the renunciate, that's the path of the one who's still engaged in the world. It's the same path. Remain where you are, don't move. You effectively are sitting in a cave in the Himalayas, except you're outwardly still doing all this. It appears that all this is happening, that you're walking and talking and doing all these things. But inwardly, you recognize and keep telling the truth that all of this is happening in my imagination. Without an exception, all of this is happening in my creative domain. Now, that's very, 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 very difficult to convince yourself of at an objective level, which is why I wouldn't recommend it. Instead, just keep looking and seeing that all of your experience is actually subjective. You never, ever, ever have an objective experience. It's a complete impossibility. Because an objective experience would be something outside of you, but you can't experience something outside of you. Go ahead and try. Prove to yourself right now that you cannot achieve it. Try as hard as you can to experience something outside of yourself. Try to experience something outside of yourself. You can't. All you can experience is subjective experience, meaning something within you. And then you could have an overlay of a thought that says this is happening outside. But where is that thought happening? Subjectively. What is the thought referring to? And it says this is happening outside. Isn't it feelings, vision? It's all the sensory modalities, right? That's what the thought is referring to. The thought says this is happening outside. But the thing that it says is happening outside is all the sensory data. Where is that sensory data? Here, subjective. There's no way around this. Everything that you experience is 100% subjective. It's all happening in consciousness. You are that consciousness. This is a dream. So that's why I'm saying it's the same path. It looks different. Now, what that means is everything that you are experiencing is happening in you. You are the dreamer. This is your dream. All of this is happening in you. Don't try to convince yourself of that it's that everything objective is within you. I mean, that's true, but that you'll usually just tie yourself in knots with that. Instead, just see that everything is subjective. At least all you know about is subjective. You don't know about anything objective because you can't access it. All you can access are your thoughts, your feelings, your vision, all of your sensory modalities. That's all you can experience. It's all subjective. It's all within you. So again, don't try to waste your time and energy proving to yourself that it's all the objective stuff is within you. It is, but you'll just tie yourself in knots. Instead, just see over and over and over, all that I'm experiencing is subjective. See the truth of that. Now, who else is going to exercise creative power here? Is there any possibility of somebody else having creative power here in your subjective experience? Hopefully you can see nobody else can have creative power here. Only you. You're the only one who can have creative power here. Now, imagine for a moment that you are that monk sitting in the cave in the Himalayas, and you are spooking yourself. You are having all kinds of, what do you call these things? There's a word for this, hallucinations. Right? You are hallucinating that all kinds of things are happening. There's a book, and there was a movie made of it, The Last Temptation of Christ, where, I'll give it away, Jesus is Mary Magdalene, and they have a family. I think that's the story. But then here's the twist: is it's all happening to him as a hallucination and a vision as he's on the cross. So it's in a similar way, you are this is the last temptation of Christ. You are experiencing that presently. As far as you know, you're a monk sitting in a cave in the Himalayas, but you're hallucinating all of this because that's what the monk in the cave is experiencing. Hallucinations that the monk cannot differentiate from objective reality. Why? Because objective reality is only subjective reality. So what you are experiencing is that. What that means is you have complete creative power here. To bring it back to what I was saying before, just see how until you can see that and know that with absolute confidence, you'll continue to experience fear. Because you'll continue to believe that you are a subject in an objective world, that these things are happening outside of you and to you. As long as something's happening outside you and to you, you cannot feel secure. It's not a possibility. You have to know absolutely that you are safe. It's the only way for you to feel secure. Well, how can you know absolutely you're safe if there's something outside of you that can affect you? The answer is you can't. You can try and convince yourself of that forever, and you'll never succeed. You'll get closer and closer and closer. You say, oh, I'm feeling more and more secure, more and more and more and more and more secure, but you'll never be secure enough until you know absolutely beyond a doubt that there's only one thing happening and you are that. Now, as I pointed out before, you can't know that just by having an experience, because you're having experiences all the time. How can you know that that's the one true experience? If you have that experience, you sit in meditation, blast off into space, and you have this oneness experience, and you say, oh, that's fantastic. I had this amazing spiritual experience, and I'm pretty sure now that I know that all is one. But then you say, oh, but how do I get back to it? Because I'm not experiencing that now. And now I have a doubt because I seem to be experiencing myself as separate, and I'm in pain, and I'm confused, and I'm having problems, and I'm hungry, and I don't know where I'm going to get my next meal. So you have to know through exercising your powers that you are the creator. You have to have that experience with absolute confidence, so there's no doubt. Okay, I'm really, hopefully it's not a dead horse that I'm beating, but I am really harping on this, emphasizing it. I want it to be really, really clear because I think it's an important point. It's not just like a lot of the time, this law of attraction business, it's like, oh, I want $1 million. Wouldn't that be nice? Or I want to have a Lamborghini, I want all these things. And so we can look at that as just being sort of stupid, because it, it's not really going to give anybody any real security or happiness just to keep seeking after these material things. But then we can throw the baby out with the bathwater, because we can say, oh, well, that's just stupid. That's just low-level consciousness, and I'm going to just seek after something very elevated. I'm just going to do self-inquiry. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Forever, until I get to the correct answer, and somehow that's just going to magically happen. But then we want to really tell the truth, which is that doesn't seem to be exactly working. Why? Well, hopefully I made it clear. But just look for yourself and see the truth of it. You need both. I'm not saying you need to indulge every stupid desire you have, because that's a waste of your time. As I've said many times, 99.999% of your desires are not even your desires. They're desires that were given to you by society. Society says you want all these things. You don't want hardly any of those things. You couldn't want them because they are stupid. They can't give you what you really want. But you must get what you want, because only then will you be able to prove to yourself that you have absolute creative control. Because again, until that point, you're going to be fearful, because you're going to say, oh, I can't get what I want. Therefore, there's something outside of me that's thwarting me, right? God is outside of me. The devil is outside of me. I have to do these superstitious things in order to get what I want so that I can be okay. But that's total insecurity. That won't ever do it for you. You don't want insecurity. You want security. So in order to have that, you have to know who you are, know your powers, and exercise them. Gain complete confidence and competence with your powers. Hopefully that's established, so I don't have to continue to repeat it. So now, how how to exercise your superpower. What did I say from the beginning? How to exercise your superpower to banish stress and achieve laser focus to obtain anything that you truly desire. I mean, anything that you desire, but I guess anything you truly desire. Okay, so this is not, let me just say one thing about this before I give you the secret here. And most of you who are here live, you know this already. And anybody who's stuck around on YouTube this long, you probably already know this anyway, but I'm gonna say it explicitly so that you can remove doubt about this. You need to, if you really want what you really want, and a big part of the problem is you don't really know what you really want. Because when you really know what you really want, then you have it. That's a big secret there. So you don't really know what you really want, because when you really know what you really want, you already have it. Because that's how it actually works. Remember, I said all experience is subjective. So it's all happening in your imagination. When your imagination is crystal clear about what you really want, voila, here it is. It can't be otherwise. That's just the law. That's how it actually is functioning and operating. Now, why am I saying this? So if you're expecting that I'm going to snap my fingers or wave a magic wand or something is going to happen that's going to, hit you over the head with a 2x4 and suddenly everything will be changed and you will have that absolute confidence and clarity of who you are and attainment of all your heart desires, don't really waste your time on that, because it could happen. Because I can't deny anything is possible. It could happen, but the chances are extremely small. So it's like trying to gain your fortunes by playing the lottery. It's not a good path. You know, the statistics on that are really, really poor. Uh, the, the I mean, first of all, the think about how the lotteries work. Okay, so the jackpot is created by all the people who buy a ticket. Okay, it's not coming from somewhere else. Then only a certain number of people, a limited number of people are going to win. Maybe just one, maybe a few are going to split it. And on top of that, whoever's running that operation, it's a profit thing. They're going to make a profit off of that. So it's not a good way to make your fortune. That's just on the surface. Another thing is that it's not sustainable. You're not going to keep doing that over and over and over. You say, "Oh, well, who needs to do that? If I'm going to win $300 million, I only need to do it once." Well, I'll get to that in a moment. But it's not sustainable. You cannot repeat that. So, and the point here is because that's going to be happening through luck. It's not happening through knowing who you are and knowing your powers and exercising them. So it's not going to remove fear. It's not going to remove insecurity. Now, the last thing I'll say about that, a little tangent, but it's related, obviously, is that the statistics on lottery winners are really terrible. Most of those people actually, and this is hard to believe, most of those people end up worse off after winning the lottery than they were before winning the lottery. And you say, how could that be? Well, because they didn't earn it. They didn't earn that in consciousness. They have no idea how they got it. It happened by chance. They can't hold it. In fact, all they're going to do, and the statistics bear that out, is they're going to now magnify all of their problems. Before they had $2 to their name, and they were amplifying all of their problems, which they were holding in consciousness, by $2. What's going to happen when they've got $300 million? I can tell you, they amplify all of the problems they hold in consciousness by $300 million. That's a really big problem. That's why they end up in worse situations afterward than they were to begin with. Now, why am I saying all of this? Because, again, you want something, you want to actually have the knowledge. You don't want to just win the lottery. You don't want to just have something nice happen to you. You don't want that. You want to know how. So in order to do that, and this is why I went off on this little tangent, that's not likely to happen just because somebody snaps their fingers. It could happen, just like you could win the lottery, and it could sometimes happen that somebody wins the lottery, and at the very same time as they win the lottery, they also experience a change in consciousness, which allows them to retain those winnings. But the chances of that happening, enormously small. I mean, 1 in a gazillion, and that's not even a real number, which is to say it's not going to happen. But the good news is that you can make your own luck. You don't have to wait for Lady Luck. You can make your own luck. How? By applying yourself consistently and persistently. And that's why I'm saying this, is to say, don't wait for it to happen. Don't just say, oh, well, it didn't happen now, so I'll just flip to the next YouTube video and hope that it happens then. No, apply yourself consistently and persistently to one teaching. Get the results. At least test it out. Sincerely, earnestly, give one teaching 6 months. Oh my goodness. Most people can't do that. I shouldn't say most people can't. Everybody can, most people won't. But you can, again, because you get to manufacture your own luck. Choose now. Make a firm resolve that you are now choosing to make your own luck. How? By applying yourself consistently to one teaching, sincerely, to get the results. So now I will tell you. Oh, let me say one more thing about that. What does that mean? I mean, that means if it's one teaching, so there's one teaching being offered here, right? Because there's the teaching, although obviously many words are used, but the one teaching, it comes through one channel. If you're trying to mix and match, it's not one teaching, or it is one teaching, but it's your own teaching coming from your presently confused mind. And that teaching is only going to deliver to you the same results you've already been getting, because you've created that teaching from the same level of consciousness that's giving you the results that you're experiencing presently. If you want something different, you have to be willing to receive something from a different level of consciousness. So here, presently, something is coming to you from a higher level of consciousness. I'm not saying that to puff myself up. That higher level of consciousness is not me. I'm not that higher level of consciousness, or I should say that differently, because I am that higher level of consciousness, but this personality doesn't have possession of that higher level of consciousness. That higher level of consciousness is that that intelligence which is unrestrained or less restrained. It has fewer limitations placed on it. So that higher level of consciousness is presently delivering to you a teaching. If you want to get the results, and those results which I have outlined to you previously, right, that you can relax into wholeness, which means that you can relax into health, harmony, peace, abundance, prosperity, joy. All of these things and more are yours when you relax and receive that higher level of consciousness. Okay, so that higher level of consciousness is coming to you through this teaching. If you want those results, you have to consistently and persistently apply yourself to this one teaching, which means in practice, show up to these meetings, receive what's offered here, put it into practice. Don't try and mix and match it with other things. If you do, you will dilute the results. Then you cannot say whether you're getting the results of this teaching or not, because you're mixing and matching with something else. There are many things out there. They're not all coming from the same level of consciousness. If you're mixing and matching, like I said, you're just diluting it and getting something that is actually coming to you from your present level of consciousness. So do yourself a big favor. If you want good results, apply yourself to one teaching persistently, sincerely, consistently for 6 months at least. If you say, I can't do that, at least 3 months. If you can't do that, at least 1 month. Just say, okay, I'm not going to do all the other things. Unless I'm already getting good results from that, that's okay. But just apply yourself to this one thing. Then you can really put it to the test and determine whether it works or not. Okay, so now, what is your superpower and how can you exercise it? The superpower that will allow you to banish stress and gain laser-like focus that will help you to achieve anything that you want. Well, it's in the title of the meeting series, which is to relax into wholeness. But now I'm going to tell you how to do that. So you have two fundamental powers. These are your creative faculties: attention, intention. So your intention is what you're putting your attention on. Your attention is the focus of your power of awareness. So awareness is just like wide open, infinite, unbounded. It's not focused on anything. Just notice that. If you go into a very deep state of meditation, if you've ever had very deep states of meditation that you are consciously aware of, then you'll know that in that very deep state of meditation, there's no one there. There's not a meditator having a meditation experience. There's oneness. There's not someone who's aware of oneness. There's oneness. There is awareness that is oneness, and you are that. There's no separation there whatsoever. There's no separation. That's the key. No separation. That means there's no differentiation. That means it's absolute pure potential, but there's nothing there. So just understand what I'm pointing to. It's really important. Your true nature is unbounded, infinite awareness, consciousness is undifferentiated. There's nothing there. There's nothing there, nothing separate, no separation. For there to be something, there has to be separation, or at least the appearance of separation. There has to be differentiation. There has to be something and something that it's not. There has to be a background for there to be a foreground. There has to be day for there to be night. There has to be up for there to be down. You cannot ever have anything without its opposite. It's an absolute impossibility. It's a universal law in manifestation. It's a law of polarity. Just if you don't believe it, check it out. Okay, just see that that's true. It's absolutely impossible to have anything without its opposite. Or put another way, it's absolutely impossible to have anything without something else. Even to say there's something implies there's something, there's the absence of something, which is in a sense is opposite. So your attention takes that fundamental reality of undifferentiatedness, of pure potential, and it collapses it into something actualized. Okay, so you start out with there's no day and night. This is in the Bible, in the beginning was the word, but before the beginning there was no word. Okay, the beginning implies it's already polarized. Beginning means that there's something. Before the beginning, there's nothing. There's no word. There's nothing at all. But in the beginning is the word. The word is what initiates this differentiation. Now there's something. Okay, so this is the power of attention. Attention takes that wide openness, undifferentiated, and it collapses it into something. It's like if you have a not imperfect metaphor, but if you have a wide beam light, okay, this is totally diffuse. If you could imagine a perfectly diffused light, then there would be nothing there. You couldn't see anything. It's perfectly diffused, evenly distributed everywhere. You focus it like a laser, all of a sudden you can see something. You see that one dot, right? So that's the power of attention. When you use your power of attention, you focus it, and what you focus it on is your intention. So this is the fundamental way in which manifestation is operating. Okay, pure consciousness is dreaming. How does it dream? Through this power of attention, intention. Now, in order for something to, there's another, I'll call this a structure of nature. And it seems overly simplified at first until you really contemplate it and see how powerful it is. All things have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So you can understand that in many ways, but we could also say beginning, middle, and completion. So we could say that the thing isn't properly itself fully until it's completed. Maybe you would agree with that, right? So like if you've got a sculptor who's sculpting a piece of marble, you might say, well, it's not really properly the sculpture until it's completed. And so all things are like that. It's not properly itself until it's completed. So we've got beginning, middle, and completion. So if you want the thing itself, you actually have to get to that completion stage. You cannot get to the completion stage without properly going through the beginning and the middle stages. It's just the structure of things. What that means is, if we put all this together, and this sounds all sort of abstract, but you can see how this is actually true in your life. If you want something, you have to be able to sustain your attention on that thing long enough to get to completion. See how it's like when I say it that way, it's so obvious and simple. Maybe I didn't need all the other words in advance of it. So it's like if you want to run a marathon, I don't know why I use this as an example, but I've used this one before. If you want to run a marathon, you can only properly say that you've run a marathon when you've run the complete marathon, which I should look up what that is. I think it's 26.3, 26.2 miles or something like that. In my imagination, a marathon is 26.2 miles. I don't know what it is in your imagination, but since this is my my meeting, I'll call it 26.2. But until you've run the 26.2 miles, you have not run a marathon. You might have begun a marathon. You might have run the middle of the marathon, but you have not actually run a marathon until you've run the entire 26.2 miles. Only at that time can you say, I've run a marathon. Then you've had the complete experience. Until that time, you have no business giving anybody any tips whatsoever about running a marathon. You could give somebody tips about how to begin running a marathon if you've begun. You could give somebody tips about how to get to the middle of a marathon if you've done that much, but you can not tell anybody anything about running a marathon until you've actually done it, which means you have to have completed it. So whatever you want, it's yours when you can sustain your attention on it long enough to get through the beginning, middle, and completion stages of it. At that time, it is yours. Absolutely real, actualized. Oh, I won't say any more about that, hopefully. but because hopefully that's clear. Now, think about this. How can you achieve that? Anything that you have failed at in your life, you can see it's only a result of failing to keep your attention on that thing long enough to get through the beginning, the middle, and the completion stages. Once you get to the completion stage, if you've held your attention on it that long, by definition, it's actualized, it's realized. You have succeeded, you've achieved it. So what does this mean? So number one, you have to know what you want, because if you don't know what you want, you cannot put your attention on it. Okay, so that's always fundamental. You have to know what you want. Most people have no clue what they want. But that's why you have to give attention to that every day. What do you want? But once you know what you want, very, very important. You can't start until you know what, but then see how this works. When you know what you want, then you have to keep your attention on it long enough to get to the completion stage. Now, that sounds pretty easy when I say it like that. Oh, easy peasy. Know what you want, keep your attention on it long enough to get to the completion stage. Well, in truth, it is that simple, but in practice, it's a little bit more complicated, which we all know. But we have to analyze this to see what specifically are the complications. It's fine and dandy and useful to a point to say, well, obviously the complication is I didn't keep my attention on it long enough. Okay, great. Hopefully you already saw that much, right? That's the only complication, is you haven't kept your attention on it long enough. Whatever you want, anything you want better health, you want more wealth, you want better loving relationships, you want better creative expression, you want to create world peace, whatever you want, the sky's the limit. Anything is possible. Anything. The only requirement is that you have to A, know what it is, and B, you have to keep your attention on it long enough. So once you've established what you want, then you just have to keep your attention on it long enough. Well, how can you succeed at that? You have to see why you fail to keep your attention on it. Boy, doesn't that sound totally obvious now that I pointed it out? But then you're probably wondering, well, how do I do that? I mean, it seems like it just goes all over the place. Right. But check this out. Just try to keep your attention on something. Just choose anything, whatever. I don't even care. Just choose something, a word, a person, anything, whatever. I don't care what it is. Just choose something. And now just put your attention on it. Keep your attention on it. Put all of your attention on it. And just observe and find out what happens. Why does your attention go somewhere else? Now, I could just let you continue with that inquiry. It could go on a long time. And it's a valuable one to do, but I'm going to give you the answer, and then you'll have to see it for yourself over and over and over to verify that this is true. It's because you're uptight. It's because you're not able to relax enough. Think about it. If you have if think about this as a stereotypical image, okay? It's late at night. So, some people are camping in the wilderness. It's late at night. They're scared. There's some noises happening outside the tent, and one person grabs the flashlight and I'll go out and see what it is. And they're holding the flashlight and they're shaking. So what's happening? The light's shaking, right? It's not clearly focused because it's shaking. Okay, that shaking, that trembling, is the cause of the lack of keeping the attention on things. Just see the truth of that. If you know what you want, you will absolutely keep your attention on it, except that you're fearful. That fear manifests as doubts. Oh, maybe I want this other thing. Oh, maybe this other thing is going to hurt me right now, right? So I should give my attention over there, right? Just notice how that is. You say whatever you think you want in life. You say, oh, I want health, okay, but you can't seem to keep your attention on health because you get spooked, you get scared of all the things that come up. You hear something on the news and you say, oh, I'm enraged. You give your attention to that. Or you look at your bank account and you say, oh, no, I don't have enough. You become fearful. Somebody gives you a look, you triggers something, some emotional response in you, and you feel insecure, reactive. So your attention goes all over the place because you're not confident that this is really truly what you want. You think, oh, maybe I want to gain security. Maybe I want power over this person's expressions. Maybe you think you want all kinds of other things because of the fear, the shakiness. So here's the big secret. You can have anything you want when you know what it is and you keep your attention on it long enough to get to the completion stage. You can do that when you relax deeply. Easier said than done, but well worth doing, well worth practicing for as long as you need to practice it, because this is your superpower that will allow you to banish all stress and gain laser-like focus so that you can attain anything you want in life. Just have to know what you want and then keep your attention on it long enough. And you can do that as long as you relax. So you're not going to be perfect at it at first, obviously, because you're not practiced at it. I'm not perfect at it. I've been practicing it for a relatively long time. So, have maybe some proper expectations. Don't think, again, it's like snap your fingers. But again, very, very, very well worth applying yourself to because it will help you immensely. So in practice, what does this look like? Well, just check it out. I'm telling you this because I think about when I look to my own experience and look in the world and I see what seems to be the biggest obstacles, the biggest challenges. where's the low-hanging fruit that's going to help people the most? And I see, boy, this would be immensely valuable for people, myself included, obviously, but this is hugely powerful for people because I see how much energy gets wasted because of all of this emotional reactivity that's coming from fear primarily. Okay. Because people get distracted by the fear and all the emotional reactivity and they disperse their energy. So your energy is directed by your attention. Wherever your attention goes, that's where your energy goes. Well, now, if some habit is there for a particular kind of emotional reactivity, because you're holding a belief that somebody shouldn't give you that look, and somebody gives you that look, and it triggers this anger response in you, if for as long as you indulge that, you are throwing your energy away. You are not putting your energy toward what you want. You're giving your energy to what you don't want. The anger. I guarantee you don't want anger in your life. No, but it's impossible for anybody to actually want anger in their life. A lot of people mistakenly believe they want anger in their life. Now, they might not claim that consciously, but they can prove to themselves that they mistakenly believe they want it because they keep getting it. They keep giving their attention to it and indulging it. But look, nobody actually wants anger in their life because it's only self-harm. Every time that you indulge anger, your blood pressure goes up, your digestive system is impaired, it negatively affects your sleep, it causes you to do all kinds of stupid things that are not in your best interest. And most importantly, you're not giving your attention to what you do want. So clearly, anger is self-harm. Now, if you have a habit of anger, guaranteed you're going to continue to experience anger. But just accept that. That's the consequence of that habit. If you have that habit, you will experience the results of that habit. That's how it all works. But presently, right now, when that anger is stimulated in you, you have this ability to choose to put your attention back on what you want. How do you do that? Well, just recognize that it's only self-harm. Just tell yourself the truth. I don't want that. That doesn't do anybody any good. It's only going to cause me and everybody else harm. It's not what I want. Oh, good. I don't have to do that anymore. Let it go. And some people will roll their eyes and say, if only it was that easy. Well, okay, I'll grant you there's some other things that you can do that will help you in this. Recognize the limiting beliefs that are behind that. Choose to see that they're not true and let them go. Yes, there are many things like that that you can do, but fundamentally, it has to do with awareness and recognizing what you want, putting your attention on that. Just seeing every time that fear comes up, which it does. So why are you going to fight with that? It's like, oh, here's fear again. So instead of, oh no, it's fear. What am I going to do? Just say, oh, look, it's fear. That makes sense. I have a habit of fear. Of course, I'm going to experience fear. Duh. But then say, so here's fear again. Well, do I want fear? No. What do I want? I want whatever you want, right? You have to know what you want. But what peace, health, abundance, freedom, happiness, whatever you want. Great. So where am I going to put my attention right now? Oh yeah, on what I want. Again, I understand sometimes people will roll their eyes and say, but if it only was that easy, I can't seem to help myself. I just have to keep putting my attention on the fear. No, you don't. I understand the fear keeps presenting itself and it's very challenging because the fear is so loud and you have such a habit of putting your attention on it. And I'm not saying, shame on you or anything like that. This is how it all works. We all experience this, myself included. But when you see it, just accept, oh, that's what's happening. That's the effect of some past cause, which I set in motion, but I don't like the effect. So I don't want to continue it. So when I can see that it's entirely harmful and there's nothing good about it, fear does not help anybody. There is no benefit to fear, none. Remember that expression, calm command. You don't want to be freaking out in your life. Fear does nothing good for you. Nothing. You have a choice. You cannot change the effects of past causes if they've been set into motion. That's called prarabdha karma. That's so just accept that. You're experiencing that now. That's always the truth. You're only experiencing now the effects of past causes. So why are you going to fight with that? It's just a time delay. It's like if you're listening to something on the radio that's in time delay, why are you going to get all upset and scream at the people who are talking? It's already happened. That's the point with everything is like that. It's all time delay. It's already happened. Don't waste your time and energy putting it on what already happened that you don't like. Instead, just learn from it. Say, oh yeah, that's the inevitable result of what I did that I don't like. Well, what did I do? I got all uptight. I got all upset. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to relax. I'm going to put my attention on what I want. So relax your body, relax your mind. And if you say, I don't know how to do that, yes, you do. You're not practiced at it. You can do it though. It's not going to be like that. Don't have that unrealistic expectation. But if you apply yourself to it, guaranteed, because it's just how it works, you will get better at it. You might say, I don't have any clue about how to begin. Yes, you do. You just aren't telling the truth to yourself about it. How can you tell the truth about it? Well, just relax. And you'll say, well, that's circular. How can I do that if I can't relax? But you can. Stop telling yourself you can't. Just tell the truth. I can. I have complete creative control here. I have the ability to do that. I'm not presently consciously aware of it, but I can learn. How? By putting my attention on it, choosing what I want. I want peace. I want freedom. I want happiness. I want ease. I want relaxation. I want health. Well, then just put your attention there. And every time something comes up that says, I can't, it's impossible, it's too hard, I'm compelled to put my attention on the fear or the anger or whatever, question it. Is that really true? How do I know that's true? On what basis? You'll just have to see, well, because I've believed it. Why do I believe it's true? Because I believe it. That's always the answer. I believe it because I believe it. There's no other reason. I mean, you could argue, say, well, because I have past experiences that confirm it. Yes, because you believe it. And again, some people will roll their eyes and say, it can't be that easy. I'm not saying it's that easy. It's that simple. If it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. It requires that you persistently, consistently apply yourself to the one teaching to get the results. You have to be willing to do that, because it's very easy to play sour grapes and say, oh, it's just sour grapes, it doesn't work. But you have to actually persistently, consistently, sincerely apply yourself to it for a while. 6 months is a pretty fair trial. But again, if you can't do that, 3 months. And if you can't do that, at least 1 month. Every day, apply yourself to this. Just relax deeply. Relax your mind, relax your body. And if you say, I don't know how to do that, stop believing that. Just see how circular it is. Every time you believe that, then you build up more evidence that it's true, because I can't. Are you going to try if you can't? No, of course you're not. You're going to just keep doing the same thing that you always do, which is be uptight and give your attention to what you don't want. So I understand, again, it's not easy, but it's simple. You just have to keep applying yourself to it. Every time you have the belief that says, I can't, or it's too hard, or it's impossible, or it takes too long, I'll never succeed, just say, is that really true? And on what basis do I know that? And you have to tell the truth, which is, it's only because I believe it. That's it. I just believe it. I see it because I believe it. I experience it because I believe it. Well, what if I didn't believe it? And that's what's possible. You don't have to believe it. You could stop. But in order to do that, you have to question. So question, is it really true? Maybe even more importantly, do I want it to be true? Because sometimes your mind will be such that it will say it is true. I can't see any other way. It has to be true, because you've built up such a it's like this IMAX theater around yourself, so that you're completely surrounded by these screens that just reflect back to you your own projection, your own negative fantasies, and it seems like totally real to you. You can't see any other possibility. So at least ask yourself, is that what I want to believe? And then you'll have to see it's not what you want to believe. So at least be willing then to play along and experiment and see, well, what if I at least open to some other possibility beyond what I'm currently believing? Even though I believe that it's the truth and I don't see any other way around it, could I at least experiment and open to the possibility that there might be something that I'm not yet aware of? Because that also will help you. If you can't do anything else, at least do that. Do that consistently, persistently, and you'll see big changes start to happen. Big changes. If I promise you this, if you apply yourself to this every day, sincerely, consistently, it has to happen. You will see big changes. There's no way around it, because it's the law. It's how things work. It's like, if you know where Mecca is and you walk toward it, and eventually, or if you, let's just say you travel toward it, eventually you will arrive. As long as you persist. It's just how it works. It might take a really long time, depending, right? Because there are many variables. But it will usually take less time than you think, and certainly less time than if you don't take steps. And that's the last thing I'll say. I know this is running long, but you must get to where you want to go. There is no other way around this. You will not get out of here until you learn that, because that's what this is. Just take a look and see. You want to know what's the point? That's the point. To know who you are, know what you want, to know your powers and to exercise them. That's the only way out. And I say that not to suggest that it's a prison or anything. I'm just saying, to the extent that you experience it as a prison, you want out, that's the only way out. So you owe it to yourself. Don't waste your time. The journey of 10,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step, and then take the next step, and the next step, and the next step, persistently, consistently, patiently, earnestly, sincerely, day after day after day. You will see the results. Absolutely guaranteed. Apply yourself to the same teaching. Don't get distracted by other things, because then it will be diluted. So to those who are finding this on YouTube, if this is the first time you've attended one of these meetings, or if it's not the first time, whatever, come back. And these happen every week. Also, I said it was the last thing I was going to say, but I'll say one more thing. I am presently offering free introductory coaching sessions to sincere individuals who want the results. You can find more about that at joeylott.com/intro, INTRO, and I'll put the link in the description on YouTube. So all you have to do is click it. Go there, you'll find a video. It's a 30-minute video that introduces you to some fundamental universal principles that will help you enormously in your life to understand. And then you'll have the opportunity to sign up for one of these introductory coaching sessions, in which I will help you to get the results that you want. Okay, there's a questionnaire that you have to complete in order to apply for that. That questionnaire is to help you so that you can get clarity and focus on what you want in your life and see what's holding you back from that. So for anybody who wants to get the results and you want support in that, it's a free introductory coaching session, and it will help you to get results if you apply yourself. that's it for now. So for those who are here live, very happy to stay on for Q&A. I'm going to end this recording now.